always say that it's very important for our clients and any small business or large business to tell their story. So we wanted to talk about our story, our foundation story, and how Polish got started. So we usually start the story out with our favorite little jingle that we've ever heard in our lives. You ready?
The one we made up?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
5, 6, 7, 8. Punch, eliminate, eliminate, and punch. You can have a little bit or a whole bunch. Only 50 cents for your lunch. Punch, eliminate, eliminate, and punch.
We should have gotten that like copyrighted or trademarked or whatever.
I know. We really should have, because it was the very beginning of our career in marketing. So it all started in McCrory, Arkansas. Lindsay and I have been
Where we're not from.
No, we're not from there. We've been best friends, and we went to the same preschool, elementary, high school, and my grandparents lived in McCrory, Arkansas, and I used to go with Lindsay to her grandparents. She used to come with me to mine, and so we decided to set up a lemonade stand on the one and only highway, I think, in McCrory, Arkansas.
Solid entrepreneurs.
Yes, not only entrepreneurs, but we knew we couldn't just sell lemonade. We had to like market it. So we came up with this jingle. I'm pretty sure we gave my brother a proceeds from the lemonade to like do flips on the street.
He could do like an excessive amount of back handsprings, so it was like a circus act.
Exactly. And we made the front page paper. But the way life works is sometimes you look back and the dots connect, and no one ever knows really what they wanted to do in life. But you look back at like, what were we doing when we had no other things to worry about? And that was creating things. I think we had a little camcorder, and we used to record like reality TV before there was reality TV, before there was YouTube.
Commercials, the whole thing.
Yes.
And I mean, even in school when we did the GT TV and did commercials and all that stuff, it was, And I had my degree in marketing, and I went on to get a job with First Security Bank here in town. At the time, I worked for them while I was in college, and at the time that I graduated, they were able to offer me a job as the marketing and business development officer for the NEA region. So I got some quick experience right out of the gate in like marketing for a huge bank, and working on a team, and just learning all kinds of skills that college would have never taught me anyway. And then
during that time, I had graduated college, and then I really didn't know what I wanted to do, but I knew I just was hungry for exploration. I ended up moving to Spain and teaching English as a second language.
In like 2012, 2013, my husband Derek got an opportunity to move to Southern Illinois for a position. He was in higher ed at the time. And I decided to move with him. We weren't married yet, but I decided to move with him. I left my job at the bank and went to pursue a new opportunity in a new place that I had never been before. Learned a lot about myself. When you move out of your hometown, you just grow and learn a ton. Ended up getting a job with an advertising agency there, which was like a dream for me. I always used to like remember when we watched like What Women Want, and we like that was our dream. Was, like,
for some reason that was burned into our brain.
Yeah. Make the marketing plans for people. So anyway, I got a ton of exposure to just a lot of different industries and a lot of different, my strengths and weaknesses too, but how to work in an agency setting. So again, like we're talking kind of about like the dots connecting. So that was just a dot that I didn't know was gonna connect back to what we're doing now. So we had our first child, Beckett. We had the opportunity to come back home, and we did that. I began just consulting at that time on the side. I was taking clients. At the time, I was able to just make a marketing plan and sell that to them and help them come up with ways to sort of implement that plan and kind of hold their hand along the way. But
that's not really anything that you had pursued. That was something that you were doing for a client, and then, whispers got out, and a lot of people needed that at that time. And Northeast Arkansas didn't have really resources for that sort of thing. Social media was new, relatively. So for Lindsay to get into that industry, people were hearing about it because there was a desperate need for that.
So Andy's Frozen Custard was my first client here. The franchise owners that had the stores in Arkansas, I worked for them. And then Southern Pharmacy was the next client to call me and be like, hey, we heard that you work for Andy's and do like their marketing. Can you help us too? And so that was the first client I ever had that I got to fully go through like a rebrand on my own outside of the agency I worked for, a rebrand with. They had 6 locations. We needed to bring them all into the same look. Like it was just a really cool time for me. And then I always joke and I always say as part of like my story, it's like I was like Hitch, if you've ever seen that movie, where I didn't have business cards, I didn't have any marketing at all for myself. People would just kind of like get my name from someone and then they would call me and be like, we heard you do this. Can you do it for us too? And so at some point I was like, okay, I think this is my job now. Like I think I'm like a consultant and this is what I do for a living, but it was a very slow build. And I mentioned those clients specifically by name because they're clients we still work with today, which is also kind of a cool part of the story. But somewhere along the way, what year? 2019-ish?
I think so. And at that time, I had come back from Spain. I'd done a few educational type jobs with nutrition. And then I was a Spanish teacher for a while. And honestly, in my Spanish teaching job, my main job was creating plans and incentivizing children. So I really feel like that was
Preparing
connecting
you.
the dots. It really did prepare me for how to incentivize large groups of people who all belong to society. But that's where I was at, and I was just ready for a change. I really love a challenge, and I love to be able to build. And in education and or government, sometimes there's just a scale that you can't break out of. So I was ready to get into the private sector.
So we were both reading a book, a personal growth book, and kind of having conversations around like what we wanted to do. And just that's kind of always been a thing that we do too. We kind of like go into deep therapy sessions just when we hang out. So at some point, Katie was like, "You need to just start an agency. Like you're already doing an agency." And I had these contractors that I worked with. I didn't do everything, but I just put all the right things in place. And she was really pushing me, and she was like, "You can't fail. You can't." And I was scared to death of failure. Why don't you come and work with me and then we can just fully do it? Like we can make an agency, we can make a brand, we can go all the way in on it and just see what happens. So she agreed, and I always say that you were very cheap at the time because I couldn't afford a lot, but I was able to pay her a little to come in.
I think we were both willing to bet on us.
Yes, and that's sort of been our whole entire story the whole time. Like we kind of take these really, they are calculated, but they're also it's a leap of faith every time.
I think that's an important part of the story, that we decided to bet on us, and I think that being together made us have that
It just made us
courage.
brave.
Yeah,
For sure.
exactly.
So early 2020, we got our logo set, we got a website built, we did all the things right that we know to do, and I had been doing completely wrong for a long time because I wasn't trying very hard. We launched our website.
herself.
We were all very excited, and then COVID happened, and we were like, "Oh, that was a fun like 1 month run."
Yeah,
we're
like-
probably gonna have to just fold it up and
Yeah, at
call
least
it good.
nobody noticed.
Yeah, for sure. And then the opposite happened, and the phone started ringing, and people were desperately trying to find ways to connect with their customers that were online, or you couldn't have a face-to-face interaction before that all these people relied on. So they were like, we need a website, we need a Facebook presence, we need a strategy that takes us online, we need help getting orders on, like just everything.
Well, in that moment, if you didn't have an online presence, you didn't have a presence.
Period. Yeah, you're right. So our phone rang, we grew. It was very shocking. And also like I'm at home with I don't remember how old she was, 4-year-old at the time because their school was shut down. Nobody knew what was what was going to happen. And we're getting really used to that like sort of lifestyle. So then we were able to come back together. We rented a small space the following year, and we just kind of started to grow again. And it was like this very organic. We had an intern. Hannah, we were able to hire her part-time at the end of her internship. Then we found Cody, who ended up being just like our missing piece that we always needed. We got very lucky that we were able to find him when we did, bring him onto the team, and he's really been an integral part of our growth too. But we sort of can do this foundational work with our clients. We get all the pieces in place. They listen to us. We have a great two-way working relationship, and they reap the benefits for years. And
I always equate it to like a train. A train, they don't just start out going 0 to 60 miles an hour. It is a heavy machine, and it takes time, and everything has to be working correctly, but it moves and it moves and it moves, and it picks up momentum and it picks up momentum. And if you were to fully turn off the engine of a train and not ever put on the brakes, it will go.
take it a long time.
It's going to take it a long time to stop.
Yeah.
So I definitely do think that marketing is exactly the same way. And that's why, number one, it's a great investment. But number two, that on the front end, our clients have been with us and they like that feeling of moving and growing, and we do
Speaking
that
of
together.
growth, we mentioned our team. We have 2 other team members that we haven't mentioned yet right now, Taylor Zimmerman and Taylor Chesney.
Our tailors.
Our Taylors.
So for our tailors, we have Taylor Chesney. He's remote in Chattanooga, and then we have Taylor Zimmerman, who started out as an intern, and we had to have her because number one, she's precious, amazing, and she's so good at what she does. She gets it. And one thing that I think that it could even be part of our brand is that everyone who works at the Polish Agency is motivated by the success we can bring to our clients. And that's data,
That's
fact.
according to our anonymous employee survey.
Exactly. We are part of our clients' teams because we're your biggest cheerleaders. It's our reputation too. So we really feel proud of that. So that's our founding story, and you can now see the foundation of how we got to where we are. The dots connect, and it's so exciting. And we hope that we can help you. If this is something, if our services, which you can see on our website, are something that you feel like will move you forward, we're confident that we have not only the passion, the expertise, but the history in place. We're just like you. We're a business, we built, there's a story, there's a history, and it means something to you. And now you know what this business means to us. So we get it. We're a small business as well. And let us take some things off of your plate. 5, 6, 7, 8. Punch, eliminate, eliminate, and punch. You can have a little bit or a whole bunch. Only 50 cents for your lunch. Punch, eliminate, eliminate, and punch.